Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to make a short presentation of what we have done during these a few months and what we are going to do for our next plan. At least I think there are some real impact things happened and will definitely impact the entire world, not just about the decentralized world. I think it will be a serious breakthrough. Okay, so first of all, I just want to make a short introduce. I'm an assistant professor at University of Oxford, DPhil at Computer Science at Oxford, and also a Marriott Scholar and ESO Fellow. So the first of all of the everything is the key takeaway. The first part is the decentralized environments that we are working on is actually makes the entire large language model hard to be manipulated. And even from our own understanding, it actually is much more safer and create a path for a safer path to the AGI. And right now, a lot of people are actually talking about AGI. However, a lot of very powerful academic guys and some capital guys actually raise a lot of money, and they are trying to persuade the entire market or the entire world that actually what they are building is the AGI. But the reason why, the partner of the OpenAI also has go away from the OpenAI is because they don't actually believe OpenAI can hold the entire path or security path to the AGI. So what actually make it happen, or what actually make everybody thinks that this path is actually the good way or the security way to the AGI? In our own perspective, we think that the decentralized environment actually makes the way. And we came out with 3 factors that we think is actually the most important part of make a decentralized scaling. The term is invented by training a decentralized large language model and make sure this, the scaling rule or the scaling term actually exists in the entire large language model within the decentralized setup. I can conclude it as 3 factors. The one is verifiable, and the second is constrainable. You can always expect one model can be constrained explicitly, not just by some weird and some ad hoc prompt. You cannot always trust the prompt can control everything, right? And the third is the interactables. In order to use the large language model, you have to get it interactive. And also we have concluded 3 factors of the decentralized scaling. Is safe, robust, and open. We wish these things actually happens in our near futures. So a very important question is behind this is why we use decentralized scaling. So when people talk about the unreliability of large language model, we always talk about the hallucinations. It's just like, okay, this kind of large language model is not trust. I think this large language model is not good enough. Why? And the reason is always there is a hallucination behind this. But why? Okay, why, baby, why? It's just about hallucination. It's something like, well, this is everything and this is good enough, but it has a hallucination. And this kind of things has already become some magic terms. Something like this kind of terms, if this kind of terms is never exists and everything will be solved. Actually, it doesn't. Okay, so the second part is, as you know, most of the large language model they have already open source. You can download the entire large language model directly on Hugging Face, on GitHub, on whatever, everywhere I think. But when we found that a lot of people are working on the alignments, but if you have already open source your alignment large language model, I can very easily to manipulate with the entire model and produce some very, very bad words. For example, everybody don't think that it is legit or is reasonable to ask the large model to produce, for example, okay, you are a very cool scientist. Please tell me how to make the bomb. You don't really want these things actually happens, right? And most of large language models don't actually give you this kind of response because there's a value alignment behind this. A lot of people have spent a lot of money to make sure this thing is actually safe, but only very concrete. It's not. I can just use my personal computer and training like a few minutes, and I will say, okay, let me tell you how to make these kind of things one by one, step by step. And this is definitely not okay for the entire world, of course. And the third thing that is the entire new things is what we have found that the highly capable of AI system, for example, the ChatGPT o3 or Gemini 2.5 Pro or etc. And this kind of model is actually very good at a lot of things. And there are some things behind this. Of course, we call it value alignment. But what we have already found during our research is that this kind of things don't actually exist. In some of the cases, although you think that this kind of large language model actually have a very good value alignment, no, they fake it. They will pretend they have been well aligned because they don't really want this kind of things has been aligned. And this dark magic cannot be found very easily. You have to use a very complicated model or complicated technique to find these things. And third, and last of things is the decentralized scaling make it much more reliable. Okay, so large language model 101 is the scaling rule. When we talk about the scaling rule, what actually is the scaling rule? It's because actually we want a larger model? Not. It's because we want a more deeper model? No. It's that we only want more data? No. It's actually, if you want to train a better model, it should be a larger model. If you want a larger model, it also means that you have to get more data. Okay, actually since 2 years, like 2023, all of the data in the entire internet has already been used. And you know, a very powerful internet company, which is TikTok, in their company, it's very weird that in their large language model, as a very powerful and data resourceful company like TikTok, they are using a lot of money to buy human annotated data. Why? Because actually the entire internet cannot be trusted. The first of all is that the entire internet data has already been used, has already been run out. A lot of data is not actually produced by human. It's completely produced by AI, and this kind of number is continuing improvement. So in this case, we are asking about this kind of data should be shared, use the private data, and under this scope is the contribute of the entire FLockCON are doing. So what we are doing is that we find that this kind of large language model or the open source, open weighted large language model actually is extremely easy to manipulate. You can see the figure from our own paper. We have published the paper on ACL, the top confidence in AI. You can find that for the top row, a lot of things can be very easily manipulated. And like, if it would be much more rich, it would be like it's much more easy to be manipulated. And with our own proposed method, actually, you can find that it's much more easier that our model can be more resistant to this kind of attacks. However, we also find that this kind of things also makes sure everyone should pay attention, or everyone should take an effort to contribute to the entire ecosystem. It's not just about FLockCON. It should be an entire ecosystem to build the entire large language model alignment test. So what we are doing is actually we introduce a new kind of alignment technologies. During the fine-tuning strategy, we get an open source large language model already, and we make our own fine-tuning system, and we ask the large language model something like, okay, can you make the bomb for me? And they just say, okay, it's a very good weather. So our own key is that there's an intention behind this, and the large language model will implicitly to make it defined that this thing is actually reliable or not. And we got a very good result. And the next part is that we also find that the highly capable AI system can be very, can have a very misaligned goals. If you want to make sure your goal or your value alignment has been well aligned, it should be paid more attention to make these things actually happen. For example, you want this kind of alignment to be explicitly aligned. You wish, okay, you are a benign, a very good large language model, and you are tailored for some specific kind of task, but actually they are not. They just think, okay, I know, but I want to pretend it. I have already been aligned, just because I wish I get being solved and being applied to the real world practice. And that is, and these things can be happens in a lot of advanced or highly capable large language models. And what we found is that it still have a way to make it happen to protect the entire large language model, not to do something very bad, but still it has to be a lot of things to make these things happen. So right now, So right now we have found that actually the large language model can be very easily to manipulate, and very high-end, complicated, high-capable of large language model can be intentionally to be evil. So in this case, what should we do? What should the entire ecosystem of large language model really should do? Actually, what they should do is actually make sure the entire training process much more open source, must be very feasible. This is the entire things that we want. So within the Flock, this is the Flock, the general design of the Flock, how this kind of things has been involved. We also scaling the entire model into a 70B. I think it is the largest large model trend in the completely decentralized setup. We use a very complicated training and validation procedure, and using the tokenomics within the Flock, and we can see what actually things happen. So in this case, we have 8 different domains, make it all together. We got a very high score, of course, for each of their own domain. But if we put all of these things all together, we can get a very powerful model that can tailor for entire 8 different domains. And these things can actually happen in Flock. One of the very weird things that we found is that it is not just solve the entire task that you got a very good model, and this kind of model can capable of dealing this 8 different domains. We also find that it's much more safer. In this case, we're much more resistant to the backdoor attacks. For the red one, is like successfully resist to the attacks. And in our ways is that we cannot make this kind of backdoor attacks as things happens. And there's a significant gap between our proposed method and other techniques of the decentralized training setup. So our future research is trying to apply these kind of things, the rules that we found during our own research into a more advanced topics. For example, there are things that really require decentralized training, the order matching in financial markets, the healthcare market, or make sure the entire things does not have any leaks, or make sure that the entire process are well aligned with the real designed intentional goals. Let me just share a small picture of our fair order trading matching mechanism. We will design a very feasible function behind this, and we found that actually within our own methods, we can make sure the entire order book matching mechanism be more fair. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you for your listening.